Hey dreamers, Bryce here from Midnight Notion, singer-songwriter, musician, and a big fan of Metallica, but I have no idea what my favorite Metallica song is. Could it be All Nightmare Long? Let's use math to find out. Cue the intro.
So give it to me now!
For the best Metallica song! All Nightmare Long, track number, I don't even know what number we're on, 5 from Death Magnetic. And if you've been a fan of this channel for a long time, you know that I'm a big fan of Dreams. Somewhere in Dreamworld is available wherever you get your music online. That said, All Nightmare Long seems to be kind of a sleeper favorite of the record. I don't know if I can go all the way to say that this is my favorite on the record, but I view it very highly. So let's listen analytically, you and I together. I'm going to stop it every time I hear something interesting, point it out. Maybe I'll teach you something, maybe you'll teach me something, and then I'm going to grade it using the following criteria: composition, memorability, emotional response, instrumentation, and lyrics. Each category is a 0 to 4 scale with a grand total of 20 possible points. We'll find out at the end of the video if the song has what it takes to get to the top 20 list. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Why? I heard that you're going to be getting nightmares from Cthulhu for the rest of your life, and they're really, really, really bad nightmares. So subscribe will save you from those nightmares. But also, I'm not liable if they keep coming after you hit subscribe. Let's go. Now listen really close. You can hear one guitar kind of, the whine of the amp. There's sort of a fall to the guitar, but it's already there if you listen close enough. There it is. You could hear it kind of sucking in. That's a great recording production technique. When you want to go from one area to the next, or you want to introduce an instrument, it's nice to have like a suck-in sort of backwards effect. I don't know if this is a backwards thing. They could have like held out a note and let it, and then they reversed it in post. It could be just straight. Either way, I feel like I'm hearing kind of a volume swell. So it's not like just a gradual, it's just not the sound itself. They might be automating it with a fader, or they've done it in Pro Tools. However they did it, it's a nice way to journey from one section to another. One complaint I have about this intro is that they don't play it live. Whenever they have played this song, they usually cut to the tape version. Like they play this part over the speakers, and they don't come in until the main riff. And I've never understood that, because this intro is awesome. How cool would it be to have stadium Metallica, thunderous floor toms? Boom, 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 boom. Those toms are huge. To have this and the whole crowd going, hey, 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 hey. Super awesome. I realize that they probably do the tape version so that they can have a break. They can all take a drink of water, whatever they need to do, cool down, towel off, whatever they need. And it creates opportunities for the lighting crew to, make something interesting happen. But I wish I could hear the live version of this section of the song, because I think it's a brilliant intro. All right, notice on the third try, they do it different. It's ba 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 da da. Second time, ba 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 da da, just like the first. And then third time, ba 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 dun dun dun. They're changing it up throughout this song. As we do from here on forward, I want you to listen for the patterns and see where they break. You don't get a pattern unless you've done it at least 2 times. 1 time, just a riff. 2 times, it's a repeat. 3 times, it's a pattern. You can break it for effect. So every time they break that pattern, note how interesting it is. Do you cock your head a little bit and go, oh, that's interesting? Or do you go, oh, I didn't want that to happen? Let me know as you're following along. Do you catch these pattern breaks? Do they affect you? Break, huh? I like that transition. It's just a dead stop. You expect that you're going to go to da-da, da, da-da, da, because they've been setting it up. Again, pattern, set, break, ba-da, And we're expecting that bop, but it just dead stop. Stop. Where are we? What happens? Now we're in the nightmare. Here we go. Fast chugging. I believe this song is in drop D, if I'm not mistaken, but this song gets fast. So hold your horses. Let's jam. That's so powerful. Okay, listening again to the drums. He's emphasizing the same parts that the guitars are emphasizing. So all the way through, everyone is playing in unison. Great. Then we have the hits. He's hitting the china cymbal and the snare drum. And then at the end of the riff, so we got those last two, that slight climb there, that's emphasized with the floor tom as well. But then the last time, the guitars are going to play the same thing. But the drums are going to switch it up, break the pattern, right? We've done it 3 times. 4th time through, pa. And by emphasizing that snare, pa, it's kind of like just sucking us into the next riff. We're ready for the next riff. He could have done and it would have been fine. But by having just a solid pa, and just a nice little rest there, that's actually a great way to lead us into the next part of the song. So remember that, drummers out there. You don't have to fill your heart away. Just a nice stop, just a nice crack on the snare. Great way to transition. Lars with the odd, he's hitting on the 1. Usually he accents that offbeat 1 and, but he's doing it on the downbeat this time. Interesting. Teaser there, because I don't know why I'm calling it a teaser other than that we're going to get that riff over and over, and this is kind of an add to the riff. So one thing I wanted to point out, what was it? Oh yeah, this riff is actually Shadows of the Cross. If you go back and look at their sessions during the Saint Anger recording, there were a couple of songs that didn't make it in. One of them is called Shadows of the Cross, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and this is the riff from there. And so that's an interesting reuse of an old riff. Well done. Much better than it would have been had it made it to Saint Anger. Again, another pause, and not just a pause, but we're not resolving. We're not going back down to the lowest note. We're actually landing on a different note. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 2, which would make this E. The whole verse is in a different set, and it's going to climb, and then it's going to resolve back to the low D, which is a really interesting way to put your verse just in a different part of the key. I really like that. It sounds like his voice is a little distorted there. They might have put some distortion on his vocals. Really cool.
Crawl from the wreckage one more time. Horrific memory twist the mind. Dark-blooded, cold and hard to turn. Path of destruction. Feel it burn.
It's really cool to hear James holding out the notes while Kirk is doing the riff. Really cool.
Still life, incarnation. Still life, infamy, hallucination, heresy. Still you run. What's to come? What's to be?
Those stops are so effective. Really, really cool. You'll see that pattern throughout the song. Think of it as a catchphrase. We're going to hear this catchphrase over and over and over. Count it at home. See how many times you can hear this happen.
Cause we hunt you down without mercy. Hunt you down all nightmare long.
Feel how how effective that is, right? Da-da-da-da-da, 'cause we hunt you. That resolve. Da-da-da-da-da, space. It's like breathing in. It's like you have this stop and you take a breath. 'Cause we hunt you. And then hunt is like the payoff. We're building. And then the payoff comes with that downbeat. We're like, and not only is it just that one downbeat, but he stays on the crash for the whole chorus. That energizes us. We've had all these thrash beats, we've had straight beats, we've had snare already going paku, 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 paku. A lot of experimenting of the different types of beats that you can use in a song. Even the verse is very like pulled back. And it just gradually builds and builds and builds. And then we have the stop. Because we hunt you. And that's the payoff. And that's what makes this song so freaking magical. Listen, every time you find yourself headbanging in this song, was it preceded by one of those stops? My guess, probably yes, because it's amazing.
Feel I breathe upon your face. Feel I shift every move we trace. Hunt you down without mercy. Hunt you down all nightmare long, yeah. Luck runs. And you crawl again, but your luck runs out time.
Again with the stops. 1, 2, 3. Ah, right? Luck runs out. Ta. That's on a pause. Those pauses are super effective. If you want people to lean in, give yourself a pause. Let that fourth beat just kind of sit in the air and open. You can add a vocal line in there. But then when you come down on the one right after that, mwah, mwah, mwah. There's the two. Ah, see, he's already changing it. I was talking earlier on how he was hitting the downbeats. Now there they are. One, and now he's on the offbeats. Really interesting. Is that actually a 2/4 measure? Let's back it up a little bit. I want to show you that one more time. I'm going to count it. Count it with me. He's saying 1, 2, but it's actually 3, 4. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unless they're counting in 2/2 or 2/4 time, are they playing in 2/4 time? I would think that's kind of absurd, but like that, he's saying 1, 2, or at least it sounds like 1, 2. Could he be saying something different? Either way, he's saying 1, 2 on 3 and 4, and I find that very ironic. And I feel that as a rhythm theory nerd, kind of nightmarish, right? It'd be a nightmare if somebody was saying the wrong number. I don't know, just kind of funny. A nice little yeah on the end of his vocal line there. Really cool.
Cause we hunt you down without mercy. Hunt you down all nightmare long. Feel us breathe upon your face. Feel us shift every move we trace. Hunt you down without.
Okay, that was different to second chorus. You hear again the pattern break. The first chorus, this section just had a baku baku, and now we have a. So again, he's doing his drum fill thing just on the snare, but then he ends it on the 2. He's like 1 and 2, and he's emphasizing that snare and the cymbal again. 4, 1, 2. Interesting way to do things, and he's going to do that throughout the song. You can listen to the drums in the next chorus and you'll hear something completely different in that section. You could copy paste the first half of the riff, boo ka boo ka boo ka, whatever he's playing there, and then there's always a different fill in each step of the way. So really well done writing on the drums. Remember, drummers, you don't have to play the same thing every chorus. You can build that song, because without Lars doing this, we don't have the Metallica that we know today. We don't have the Metallica we know and love. So knock his drumming all you want, but Lars is actually saving the day. Just saying.
Mercy, hunt you down all night long, yeah. Looks, runs, and you crawl again, but your luck runs out.
Okay, so I really love that cool vocal build up there. But that that little riff there was just a nice little add. We haven't heard that riff in the song at all. It is using the same key signature, so it's not like it's new notes, but it is a new part. And then we have this a really cool pattern here. The guitar is going to do just a little bit of a wah lead here that gradually builds into a solo. So listen how he structures this solo. It starts rhythmically. It starts as a rhythm solo, or just like a melodic lead, if you would. And he plays that riff over and over and over. We build the rhythm, and once the rhythm is going all, like we've built the rhythm from stops to motion, then we can move the solo up and we can start playing around, and then we can start building into different parts of the key signature. Then we switch up to the 2 or the 4 or whatever we go to, and things change, and then we come back to where it started. So remember this pattern. Think about where it started. It started with that drum fill that comes back at the end. It starts with these stops, it ends with those stops, and then we go into a new section. So listen to how this goes. Also, those 3 hits on the drums. Dun, dun, dun. The guitars are emphasizing it too. Dun, dun, dun. That comes back throughout. Now we got solo. See, even the solo is doing the 3 in the tag. It's the same concept all the way through. You can find this in every single genre of music. This is what makes songs listenable. It gets us familiar with something, and then the break of the break of that pattern makes us interested. I'm just saying, you like, once you recognize that patterns are everywhere, you start noticing them in every song, you start realizing that all these different genres out there, they're not so different after all. As a matter of fact, this is more pop than, you know, a lot of their early stuff. Even their early stuff was very pop. And you could get all mad at me if you want, but pop isn't actually a genre. It's just whatever's popular now. It's just a shorthand for popular. A lot of those pop artists are using rock players when they play live. So let's all be friends here. All genres are welcome here. And we have a different part of the key now. So that section, I started counting it because there's some weird hits in there where they come down and it feels like the 1 is on the 4. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's not actually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it sounds like time signature changes because of where they're putting the emphasis, but it's still just straight 4/4 time. That's interesting to me. lift. Even there, boo doo doo doo, very similar to how we started the solo, and we get a new section. Double kick. Double kick pedal. This section was in the new song. We talked about it the other day during the end of the line. If you go back to the new song live in 2006, this whole middle section was kind of in that song. They now have reused it into its own song, and it sounds much better in this song. We have some interesting transitions. I think the first time I heard the song, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that part, but it still has what I'm looking for. Set the pattern, repeat the pattern, and then the third time through it changes and it adds a little tag. Now we got the double kick pedal, and we're gonna have a nice solid stop. But listen really closely every time we've stopped, because we hunt you. So it's really only just a couple beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it's really stopping on the 3, so we get like a 1.5 beats of rest before we come back in. Now we get our longest pause in the song, but we've been alluding to it this entire time. This whole time we've been building to this one moment, and then it just smashes us over the head. I love it.
Then you crawl back in into your obsession, never to return. This is your confession. Hunt you down without mercy.
You can even hear a little bit, if you listen really close, you can hear James taking a breath in the middle of this. Listen.
Never to return. This is your confession. Hunt you down without mercy. Hunt you down all night very long. Feel us breathe upon your face. Feel us shift every move we trace. Hunt you down without mercy. Hunt you down all night very long. Yeah. Luck runs. I can crawl back in, but your luck runs out.
Intro.
Your luck runs out.
So this riff right here is throwing back way back to the very beginning. It's the same riff that we started the song with, but it's different because it's distorted. We got a drum roll instead of floor tom. We got the low holding out. Really cool. It's kind of like Bleeding Me in a way. If you think of Bleeding Me, we have this nice clean riff all the way through, and then at the end, hey, hey. I just love it. But this is a great throwback, and then we get we get just a little bit more, and we're almost done. I like that boop, 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 boop. The very beginning of that boop, boop is kind of teasing the main riff. Boop, 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 boop. We're just getting just the first boop, 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 boop. Kind of going to a battery style ending. Boop, 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 boop. So we got like a little tease and then a couple of notes, a little tease, a couple of notes, a little tease, and then now we're back to the riff. Yeah! What a wild ride that was. I hope you're all waking up and you're not feeling too stressed because of all those nightmares we just had. Let's give those nightmares some points. Whoosh. Composition. I really like what they're doing with this song. There's a lot of fun stuff. I love that the intro comes back at the end. I love that the main riff gets teased at the end just before coming right back to it straight. I love all the stops. Stop, pause. Like those pauses are excellent in this song. I love that it challenges the key signature, right? We don't just stay on that low D. We come up to the E. How many songs do you know that stick on the 2 for the entirety of the verse or most of it? It's a very interesting concept. And then even the solos have like an air of like success to them. They kind of feel like they're going major, but then they pull back down and like, oh, maybe not so much. They like tease you into going happy, but then it's like, oh, this is actually kind of scary still. We got a lot of double kick. We got some, I don't know if they're triplets, but there's a lot of really fun stuff about this song. I think my only complaint compositionally is that it might be just a little bit too long. I really like the song, don't get me wrong, but I think that there's one section in here after that first solo. After they finish that solo, it feels like, okay, now we're into the bridge section. Oh, there's another solo. And it's not that the second solo is bad. It's perfectly fine. It's just that we've all been kind of trained to feel where we're going. And so by adding that second solo, it kind of like makes us double take a little bit. And just because of that double take, I'm going to take it down 1 point because we could probably still have a really great song without that extra section. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying it's a bad solo, and I'm also not saying it's bad to have 2 solos in a song. They have plenty of songs that have 2 solos. I'm just saying that there is a flow that we're sort of expecting. It's like when you go see a movie and the movie is just a little bit too long and you start thinking like, I feel like it should be ending, and then you find out there's another 2 hours left. That's a problem. And I should also clarify that I'm not saying that I was tired of the song or bored of it. Not at all. I'm just saying that there was just sort of a break of the flow, and I think it's somewhere around that weird that riff kind of broke it a little bit for me, and I'd like to see the song without that section. But overall, it's a really fantastic composition. So for me, that's a 3. Memorability. Luck runs out. You can't forget it. They start both verses with it. They have it in the chorus twice, actually. How does it go? Luck runs out. It's chantable. You crawl back in, but your luck runs out. So they repeat that multiple times throughout the song. By the end of the song, if you're a first-time listener, you're gonna remember "Luck Runs Out." I think that the main riff is pretty catchy. I think that there's a lot to remember about this song. I think what it's missing is that really clear chantable thing. Like we hear that multiple times, but we might not necessarily know where it is. It doesn't like earworm, but I do think that chorus is super catchy. I think just something about what the guitars are playing and just the straightness of the drums on the cymbals, and then what he's saying too. It's just so cool, so memorable. I just think they could have dialed it up just knowing what else they have. There's just one little earworm missing from it, but overall super memorable. So for me, that's a 3. Emotional response. I can't say it enough. I really like this song. I like this record. I think they're doing a lot of really cool, incredible things that feels a lot like the old Metallica, but it's new Metallica. And I appreciate that they've had a lot of growth. I appreciate the want to try to capture their youth, but they also have the maturity in their songwriting to pull it off. Unlike yesterday's song where everybody hated my low score for the day that never comes. Don't get me wrong, I like that song too, but this song just, I don't know, this one just stands above it in my opinion. I would love to hear All Nightmare Long live. I think I heard it live once. I don't recall if they played it or not in my presence, but I do love the song, and I do want to hear it without the backing track. I want to hear them play the intro. So please, more of this song. Emotional response, that's a 4. Instrumentation. I don't think that you can argue this is a very difficult song to play. If you're playing along at home, your right hand is probably pretty sore. Or if you're a lefty on the guitar, your left hand is pretty sore. Actually, probably both of your hands are pretty sore because there's a lot of movement in the song. Admittedly, the first half is pretty static. You kind of stay, and a lot of it has to do with the up and down picking, the drrrr. There's a lot of fast picking in the song. That has a lot to do with it. But then you get to the solo section. That little riff there alone is really cool, really complicated, and once you can nail it, it's actually really, really fun to play. But then the solo goes all crazy. I might be able to knock Kirk. I know that some of the very end of the solo is kind of I don't know, but the rest of it is so cool, and the way they're all playing together is really awesome that I don't know if it's enough of a to knock it points. So instrumentally, I got to give them all I got. That's a 4. Lyrics. Now, something I've been curious about ever since this song came out is the following. Is this song about Cliff Burton? I don't know. It seems like it's about nightmares coming back and haunting you, but let's take a look at the first verse. Crawl from the wreckage one more time. Maybe a bus fell over, right? Horrific memory twists the mind. Yeah, it would be hard to see your best friend die. Dark, rutted, cold, and hard to turn. The bus driver hit a patch of ice. It was cold. It flipped over. Or at least he claimed to hit a patch of ice. We don't know the full story. Or do we know the full story? I don't remember it, but I do remember that there's ice involved and coldness. So I'm just saying. And then path of destruction, feel it burn. So they lost a near and dear best friend in a bus accident way back in 1986. And they've been reliving it over and over and over and over. And especially James, because he was already in a dark spot, losing his mother, his father going away, his abuse of alcohol, just all of the things that came with their fame, and just like all the troubles that they have in their lives, and still looking back on how that traumatic incident and trying to bury it and repress those memories and forget all about them and move forward, but they just keep coming back, and it's hard to face that we're all like, it's sort of a battling with mortality. That's what I'm trying to say. He's battling with mortality because we all die and we never know when it's going to happen. And how many times are you going to get on that bus worried that the bus might tip over and you might lose someone else or yourself? That's a scary thought. And I think this whole record kind of is grappling with mortality and where is the end of the line, right? And that's really interesting to me. I think that this song is great. I like that nightmare, the thought of nightmares coming back. It's a haunting sort of story, but it is potent. I don't know. I like the lyrics. I think that there's a little bit more they could do to tweak it to make it just a little bit better, but I can't really articulate what that is. They're fine lyrics. It's still a positive score. So for me, lyrically, it's a 3. And so, All Nightmare Long gets a grand total of 17 points. It just barely missed the top 20. The very low part of our top 20 is 17 points. But this one, because of the way it all adds up, it's actually tied in 23rd place with Damage Inc., which, in my opinion, is pretty appropriate. When you look at the play style of Damage Inc. and you compare it to All Nightmare Long, they're pretty similar songs. So I'm okay with that. Let's take a look at that top 20 board one more time, shall we? We got one still holding its own at top place. Nothing has managed to get a perfect score yet. It's not looking great, but we still got a lot of songs to go through. So now it's your turn in the comments below. Using my methods, what score would you give this song? Make sure you tell me, add it up, and be fair about it. Also, tell me what you'd like me to do with the ties. Also, tell me what kind of music you'd like me to hear. You'd like to hear me review in the future once we finish this Metallica thing. I know I'm gonna do like a little awards ceremony. I might take a break, and I might not be able to do daily content after this because I need 1,000 subscribers before I can do that. So, on that note, check out Midnight Notion wherever you get your music online. I'd appreciate the Spotify streams and the iTunes purchases, but you can find it for free as well. And of course, smash that subscribe button. Get us up to 1,000 subscribers. New music is being worked on, and of course, daily content so far until the end of the Metallica journey. So now we've done it. We've had our nightmares. We'll see you tomorrow for Cyanide. Thanks for watching.